This mutation is called Rest in Peace and is played on Void Thrashing. We have two mutators active. We have Moment of Silence and we have Propagators. So let us have a look at the masteries while our resident mutation soloist is trying to solo this mutation. Unfortunately, the masteries are not appearing over here, so let's see if we can figure out where we have the masteries allocated. Looks like it's put into the Strike Fighter cooldown mastery, which is good because the Death Chance mastery is actually bugged. We also have the Significant Other. This one's gonna be a little bit tricky. I'm not really sure where I can look at this information up. And we also have the Magmine cooldown, which we saw was not the case. We have the points added into the Air Fleet mastery over here. So at least those are 2 out of the 3 mastery sets figured out. And now let us take a look at what prestige is being played. We have Wing Commanders being played here. So this is the P2 Han Horner, which has the emphasis on air units. So this is probably going to be the central strategy behind clearing this mission, utilizing Horner's units to clear out the Void Thrashers and whatnot. So Moment of Silence and Propagators, kind of difficult, but not, not impossible. And the one thing to note as well is Propagators will trigger the Moment of Silence when they die, but one of the big advantages of playing it on this map is that I don't think there are any attack waves on this map that have hybrids. So the only heroic units you'll have to deal with are going to be the Propagators and the random hybrids in the enemy bases. And the other advantage as well is that this enemy base and that enemy base do not have any hybrids in them, so it's only the final 2 bases which you will have to deal with, which will have this Moment of Silence that'll be annoying you, so that'll be also really nice. So we do have a set of Magmines ready, and now this is going to be able to deal with the first attack wave of this map. But remember, the Propagators will also spawn in due time, and there we go. That is a Propagator that has spawned, and it will make its way towards the player's base now. I don't think it'll move over here, but eventually it will start to attack this expansion as soon as Amon gets vision of that. So this Propagator will be making its way over here, and that is going to happen. I'm going to see how Han and Horner are going to be dealing with this. So we do have a few of these Hellions, so they will be pushing into this Propagator and they will be running back as well. So there's a little bit of micro that's required, and you can see here that there is also a little bit of an issue in the fact that they don't actually have very high range, so very easily get picked off by Propagators if they are not paying attention. Moment of Silence does end up clipping that Assault Galleon, and you will notice that the Tar Bombs upgrade was researched here to deal with, or at least help these Hellions deal with the Propagators. So that is one adjustment that has been made. Generally speaking, you do not get the Tar Bombs as early. You normally go for the Reapers, and you go for the Aerosolized Stim Emitters upgrade as well if you're going for your Hellions. But this tech choice was very specifically chosen to deal with the first Propagator of the map. Now, I might as well just say it, like, the Propagators do spawn from enemy structures, so if you were to all clear the map, then the Propagators will stop spawning. So that is something to take note of, but obviously that if you've all cleared the map, then you've kind of already won the mission, so it doesn't really help on this map, but it's something to note that these special mutator units, when they spawn from enemy structures. The game looks at all Amon's units around the map and picks a random one to spawn the mutator unit, in this case the Propagator. But same thing goes for things like killbots and boombots and all that stuff, and that is generally how you can simplify various mutations. It's just by all clearing the map. Now, the one thing you can do to make it just maybe a little bit easier is when you're pushing into this enemy base, you clear out the area where the Archangel would normally hide. So you clear that little nook over there, and that'll stop all Propagators spawning it from at least the the left-hand side of the map. So that way you only have to deal with the central base Propagators and the Propagators that are spawning from the third area that you'll be pushing in. And then likewise, as you're clearing, you clear out the bonus objective area as well of all the enemy structures, and then you don't have to deal with Propagators spawning from that side, and therefore only the Propagators that will spawn will be the ones that will be spawning in the final base that you are pushing. But again, remember that as the course of the mission progresses, the number of Propagators that are going to be spawning throughout the course of the mission will be increasing. So right now, you're seeing that we have the Column Fleet being used here. The minimap just keeps disappearing whenever these Columns are used, so my apologies for that. But so what will happen is that if you've cleared out this area and you've cleared out this area as well, and the Propagators are only spawning from from this enemy base, then when you're pushing into that enemy base and the mission time has progressed, 15 or 20 minutes, you now have to deal with 4 Propagators spawning per spawn. So do bear that in mind as well. It does get a little bit more tricky and you will be spammed with a lot of Propagators, but there are certain commanders that, during that time, their army is so large they can basically just A-move into Propagators. Like Raynor is one of them. Stimmed Marines will actually melt through Propagators if he has a big enough death ball, and he's sitting on level 3 attack upgrades, and he has a stim and all that stuff. So just beware when you're dealing with Propagators. Propagators are really, really nasty because they can turn a winning game into a losing game in a matter of seconds. If you're not paying attention to the minimap, if you're not seeing where a Propagator is coming from, you will lose your entire army and you will lose the entire game because now suddenly your entire army is a set of Propagators. It is a very, very nasty mutator. So this is the other Propagator now that's going to be dealt with, and this Void Thrasher has been taken out as well, so that is also kind of nice. So again, a little bit of kite back just to make sure this Propagator does not catch out these Hellions, and we also have a set of Magmines here to deal with any random attack wave that starts to harass Amon's forces. So we do have some more of these Strikefire platforms now being utilized here. Strikefires will start to snipe out at least some of these lurkers and these Hydralisks, severely weakening this attack wave, and then the rest of this attack wave can get cleaned up by Han's army. And we also now have the next Propagator spawning, and this one has actually spawned from the final base of the map. So there's a little bit of a shorter time over here. Some more Strikefire is just being utilized over there, and this Propagator has actually chosen to take a detour. And again, Han's army is ready to engage that Propagator when the time is right. So once you just not draw aggro of those enemy forces, because that would be really, really bad. Firebomb's getting utilized over here, and that is the end of that Propagator. Unfortunately, this battlecruiser does get clipped by the Moment of Silence, so it'll be a while. The Moment of Silence debuff lasts, I can't remember how long. It's like 10 seconds, 15 seconds or something. It's pretty long. The debuff is pretty nasty. And you can see now the Propagator spawns are a little bit more frequent, and they will start to become a little bit more frequent, and eventually they will start spawning in pairs, and then suddenly you'll start getting like 4 Propagators spawning, and all bad things can happen if you are not paying attention. But this battlecruiser now is going to go and engage this Void Thrasher, and unfortunately it does not look like Han and Horner were looking at this battlecruiser here, so it is taking a little bit of damage. It needs to move out of the way. Unfortunately, just a little bit too late, but the second battlecruiser is now out as well. So they should be able to take out this one Void Thrasher. Hydralisks are somewhat interested in taking out this battlecruiser, but I don't think they are going to stand a chance. The battlecruiser now is getting a little bit closer in the red and needs to actually move out of the way there. And now the upgrade for the Yamato cannons has been researched, so these things should be able to take out the Void Thrasher very, very effectively. So there's another blast over there. This battlecruiser is sitting about 55 HP. It does get microed back, and we also have a space station reallocation used to just draw a little bit of aggro. And this thing is going to tactical jump out of the way, and the Yamato cannon over here is just going to be dealing a little bit more damage. Some more strike fires over here just to use to try and take out these Hydralisks, but that battlecruiser was having absolutely none of it. There's another attack wave coming up over here. Some more strike fires being utilized here just to weaken these enemy forces. Just make sure that this attack wave has been softened up. And now you can see the issue here. We have a double Propagator spawn here. So that battlecruiser now is just going to be waiting for a tactical jump over here. This battlecruiser will be coming home for a little bit of repairs, and we also have some lurkers here. So these lurkers, they will need to be Raven. Raven gets used here, and now it is going to be sitting in siege mode. And very, very useful ability, because the siege mode actually, make sure that if you do choose to F2A move like I do, then you don't have to worry very much about the thing catching over here. And now there is another. We're trying to see where this cooldown was utilized. It's utilized in this here in this base. So this will be used just to again soften the enemy forces up before he engages with his main army. So another Propagator has been dealt with over here. Another Propagator is on the way. Void Thrashers will spawn right now, because I think maybe that column in the fleet has actually weakened the enemy base enough so as to trigger the Void Thrasher spawn. So one thing to note is that the vitality drops below a certain amount, so that is the HP plus shields of all the units in this base. If it drops past a certain amount, it'll spawn the Void Thrashers instantly. So that is exactly what has happened. But the battlecruisers now have tactical jumped over, and they will start to attack this Void Thrasher over here. So we're using, again, a little bit of utility on the Strike Fighters here, just to, you know, make sure you're getting a little bit more value for your cooldowns and, you know, utilizing them to the maximum efficiency. But that is the next Void Thrasher. That's one of the 3 Void Thrashers gone. There's another set of Propagators on the way as well. A little bit of fight back here. And these 2 Propagators now are going to be... Actually, they are going to split. So there's going to be a double-pronged attack here from Propagators. I'll try and get that also into vision range, and it does look like they are not going to be clearing these enemy bases. So that is the first one over here, second one over here, one Propagator goes down, second one goes down as well. I think these 2, okay, that army did get clipped by the Moment of Silence, this one did not, so reasonably effective over there. Unfortunately, Void Thrashers also, oh yeah, the one thing I forgot to mention is Void Thrashers also do trigger Moment of Silence, so they will stun your units, or at least cast a debuff on your army over there. So he's actually going to start clearing this area out. This area has not been cleared. I think maybe it was to do maybe going for the bonus objective here. It is a little bit ballsy, but like, why not? These things are just going to end up deleting the Archangel so fast. There are a large number of battle cruisers over there. So yeah, this Propagators right now, these armies can aim into the Propagators, but the one thing you have to be careful of is that Moment of Silence debuff. If there are 2 Propagators next to each other and you get Moment of Silence, if you get hit by the Moment of Silence debuff, you're in for a very, very bad time. So some more. This battle cruiser has been repaired now, and there's another couple. I think the goal here is to do a side attack on this base. You don't. One of the strategies behind, like on this map, is instead of actually pushing straight from the front line, you push from the back, because the front line is actually very heavily defended, much more heavily defended than if you were pushing it from the side. So I think the intent here for Hannah Horner is to try and at least start to charge into this enemy base and start attacking it from the side, and that way you can actually pull some of the weaker enemy units in to aggro range and then killing them off with the battle cruisers before you start engaging the higher tier units. Now remember, there are also hybrid dominators, and actually there might be hybrid behemoths on this map. I think with Zerg you're dealing with hybrid behemoths, not dominators. So that is one thing to take note of. And then this guy as well is another thing as well. It can be really, really annoying because he can do things like this. So this battlecruiser is going to be drawing a little bit of aggro. That Viper gets blasted into oblivion with the Yamato cannon. And now this battlecruiser will be moving back as well. The rest of these things will start to take out the rest of Kimon's forces. So overall, this is okay. But as you can see, this is something that can happen over here. So very nice utility of the Magmines. Magmines being parked at the spawn point, so that as soon as the attack wave spawns, most of the units have been deleted by the Magmines here. So again, very slowly being pushed in here, and that one Viper being a little bit annoying, and it's going to cast its parasitic bomb on this. And this is where it can get really hectic, because you can see there's a Propagator now coming up from here, and this Propagator is going to start aggroing, but it looks like there has been a tactical jump over to the other side, dodging the Propagator and letting that Propagator funnel through and move over into the area where he's going to actually be dealing with the Propagators, which is his bases. But we have a pair of Propagators over here, then we have one Propagator over here. Let's be a little bit careful with how he engages that. He's going to do a little bit of a pullback, and that was actually a really nice pullback. Only one of the Hellions does get caught out by that, and we have another now column the fleet being utilized over here, and a lot of these units now will start to get deleted. The Void Thrasher is going to actually deal a lot of damage to these battlecruisers as well. So far, actually one of these battlecruisers did go down. I'm not really sure when that happened, but apparently one battlecruiser did end up going down. But as far as I can see, there are only 2 Void Thrashers left. And again, double Moment of Silence debuff, and that is a huge problem. This is exactly what can happen. Moment of Silence debuff, and now his entire expansion is pretty much a write-off. He has to snipe this Void Thrasher in the very last second because these Propagators are just going to start, I guess, propagating. But there we go. That's the last Void Thrasher done just before, moments before disaster. The Sergeant Hammer's Fort are saved, and that is GG.